Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
I'll get the guns, the drugs from my generation. I'll take the fall, the state, and across the nation. And it's a sin, the guns, the fake, the fraud, the messing with me. Come on, let's get it.
All right, come on in, sit down, and let's have some fun talking some wrestling, shall we? It's not a mirage. It's Brandy. I am back. I had surgery a couple weeks ago, and last week I had no headphones. So I'm back now, though.
And with you, as always, is Robbie S. And I'd like to wish everybody just a very early Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And for those who celebrate the other holidays, sorry I didn't catch up to Hanukkah.
That was like 2 weeks ago.
Exactly. I didn't catch up to it. I'm ignorant American man.
It's okay, I forgive you. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and talk about NXT TakeOver London, since that happened just last Wednesday. And then we're going to kind of go over what we thought were the award-worthy matches, wrestlers, storylines from the year, since we just had the Slammies, quote-unquote, on Monday.
Yeah, I'd like to think our awards will be a little more prestigious than the
Well,
Slammies.
considering they gave Nikki Bella Diva of the Year, yeah.
Well, to be fair, they also gave the Usos the Tag Team of the Year, which is complete bullcrap, but that's my opinion.
They did get some things right. The shocking return for Sting and the breakout star of the year being Neville, even though he didn't really do anything this year. It was more last year, but okay.
Yeah, Kevin Owens got a little PO'd, and
Well, yeah.
yeah, don't blame him.
But we're just going to go ahead and have fun with it, because awards are subjective, and that means everybody has an opinion, and that means there isn't always a definitive answer for a best.
Yes, please. If we don't mention one of your favorites, please refrain from any sort of, hate mail. I don't want my inbox spammed. I'm sure she doesn't want her inbox spammed unless she likes that.
No,
we don't need it.
But unless their favorite is Nikki Bella, then they can come at me, and I'll go ahead and tear down every opinion.
Yeah. How about her dress this past Monday?
That was terrible. That was so ugly. It was disgusting.
Like, Nikki, objectively, you're a pretty girl, but that outfit left nothing to the imagination. Not a one thing.
It looked terrible. Like, Lady Gaga wouldn't even touch that.
I
And
think
Lady Gaga wore a dress of meat. So,
well, I guess a meat dress isn't very economic when you think about it.
well, no, but I'm just saying, she has out there choices, but even she wouldn't go there.
No, besides, if you get hungry, just strip off a bit of your clothing, slap it on your grill, and boom.
No, honey, it was raw meat.
Well, just cook it. Then it's cooked raw meat. Tastes a little bit better, at least. You might wake up with dysentery, but that's the risk you take when you eat raw meat.
She had a bathing suit on underneath it. That's what they pinned the meat to.
Then she had nothing to worry about. Bathing suits in that weather. Pff, come on.
However, we're not here to talk fashion, really.
Yeah, we got way off topic.
That was a rabbit trail. But yeah, we'll go ahead and go with NXT TakeOver London to start with.
Yes.
There were several matches that were taped for future NXT episodes. We won't really talk about those ones.
No, we're just
spoil
we're simply going over TakeOver London as it was shown on the network this past Wednesday.
And starting the show was Asuka taking on Emma, who had Dana Brooke in her corner. I'm surprised at how long they gave them. I'm glad they gave them a nice 15 minutes to open the show.
I would argue that this was the best match of the night. By the time it was over, I asked myself, how are they going to top this? And while the other matches were good to great, I don't think they could hold a candle to this opener. I thought it was easily the best match Emma's had in a long time. Not to say that Emma's a bad wrestler. She's very good. But I think that when your talents are wasted on the main roster for so long, you tend to forget just how good she is at wrestling. and she's very good.
She is, and the cute backstage segments after Emma was in the trainer's room with Dana, and the cute little taunting segments with Asuka, that was adorable.
Speaking of Asuka, this card was very pro Asuka. I felt like I would argue, outside of a few exceptions, that she's the most over performer in NXT right now.
I think you might be right. I think everybody loves them some Asuka. She has 2 shirts now up for sale, and as well as the mask, which is
Yeah,
cool.
I want to get that mask, like just to have it. You know what I mean?
Are you saying you wish that I got you that for Christmas?
No, I'm just saying that it would be a nice mantelpiece, just to scare some kids when they come over.
That's what we're about, ladies and germs. We're going to scare children since Chuck Taylor's retirement tour is almost over. Hashtag Dustin checks out. So we'll have to take up the professional child staring.
We are such adults. But yes, this was the best match of the night, bar none.
Next up was Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson defending the NXT Tag Team Championships against Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy.
I liked this match a lot. It was a very fun tag team match. Had a simple story of the champions isolating Enzo from Big Cass, who, for those who've been following, has a knee injury that the champions have exploited in the past. So there were a few obstacles in the way of our beloved challengers.
They weren't. I think if they were going to win, it should have been in Brooklyn, but they weren't even on the show.
Yeah.
Like, they were there, but they didn't have a match or anything.
And you have to wonder where Enzo and Cass go from here, because they've had many chances at the tag titles. They haven't succeeded. One could argue that they could go to the main roster at this point, because what else is there for them to do? But I feel like I say that a lot of times whenever Enzo and Cass come off of a loss, and I'm proven wrong, so I'm just not going to say anything in regards to that.
Maybe. We'll just have to see, because there isn't anything for them to do. But I fear if they go up to the main roster, they're just gonna get left out again. Because even though the WWE is rebuilding their tag division, I don't think they would know how to use somebody like Enzo effectively, just because he's not 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that.
Oh, you did a thing there. Very, very nice.
I do try. Next was Baron Corbin taking on Apollo Crews. My favorite part of this whole match was when Baron was taunting Apollo Crews, and he said, "You should have stayed in ROH."
And for those who don't know, Crews never wrestled in ROH. So I was on the Squared Circle subreddit while watching the show, and I think someone alluded to the idea of Corbin mistaking Apollo Crews for Moose, who's an ROH talent, and being racist. And I'm like, I don't see that as racist. I see it as Corbin being arrogant towards the indie darlings, which has been his character for the past few months. And him associating ROH as an indie promotion, it kind of fits, I would say.
It does, and he's like, you should have stayed with your small gyms and your small locker rooms, and I think that's the best Baron has been, just in terms of as a heel, just being a jackass like that.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, this was probably the weakest match of the night, but doesn't mean this was a bad match at all. This was actually very fun. Apollo Crews is always fun to watch, but I felt like this was a showcase for Baron Corbin, who I feel is one of the most improved wrestlers of the year. Like, he's coming to his own.
He's really come a long way while he's still learning, and he's obviously hindered by his lack of experience and knowledge and time, because you can't replace time and wrestling time in matches. You can't do that. But I think Apollo Crews is a good opponent for him, because he did a good job of accenting his positives while glossing over the negatives.
Which should be the case for every wrestling match when you think about it.
It should. Next was the NXT Women's Championship match. Bayley defending against Nia Jax.
Definitely not as good as the Asuka versus Emma match, but it wasn't meant to be. It was meant to tell a story of Bailey, the champion with the fighting spirit, taking the fight to Nia Jax, a brute performer. Bailey struggling to get offense in at any opportunity. It felt like she was hitting a brick wall most of the time. Meanwhile, Nia Jax toyed with her, like that foot on the foot on the chest pin attempt. I almost thought in the back of my mind that Jax could have won the title in almost like a Brock Lesnar like fashion, and that would have gained tremendous heat because it seemed like that was the direction they were going in a way.
In a way, but I saw it more of as they wanted to give her a bulldog tough match where she's just getting stonewalled at every turn, and then she just manages to keep scrapping, keep fighting, and actually grit out the win.
I could see that. And really, Bailey only won because she used a desperation rear naked choke. Nia Jax was never put into that kind of hold before, and the commentators even played up her inexperience and how that kind of signaled her downfall. She tapped out to it.
And I thought it was really a good, like a sort of, the word I want is escaping me, the credibility match for Nia Jax. Because Bailey is well respected among the majority of fans as a great in-ring talent. So I think in some ways that helped legitimize Nia Jax as she starts out. Like,
especially
how she had the champion on the ropes. Something.
It's amazing, and it seems like this is going to play into a feud with Asuka in the future, Nia Jax versus Asuka, which I'm very excited about. I'm very curious to see how those two will work.
And definitely very helpful for Nia to learn from somebody like an Asuka. So. And then finally we had the NXT Championship match, Finn Balor defending against Samoa Joe. The highlight for me was Ripper Balor. Finn Ripper, whatever you want to call it.
Yes, he wore a Jack the Ripper hat and trench coat over the demon body paint he's become known for. Very theatric, very, very larger than life. What we expect from Finn Balor at this point, especially during these big events.
It really reminded me of the during his final independent tour where he had all the different costumes, and they just got more grand and more grand as they got towards the end. And I thought it was a really cool touch that he came back to London as the champion and he did a little bit of old Prince.
Yeah, and I got to give Samoa Joe a lot of credit. He showed himself as a more dominant heel. Probably the toughest battle Demon Balor has had. And I don't know if Samoa Joe is going to have another run at the title. I don't know if they'll think about calling him up to the main roster to sort of help the sort of thin talent pool as it is. But I'm really into Samoa Joe right now. I think that he's been doing a tremendous job since turning heel.
He's doing very well, and I think they'd be silly to get rid of Samoa Joe this soon because they're still thin in NXT too.
Yeah, like right now, I think Finn Balor said during an interview that he wants to stay on NXT. He really is in no rush to be called up to the main roster. He wants to help make NXT its own brand beyond developmental, which that label's slowly been shedding.
That it really is. And I was just scared by that noise we heard, but it was kind of cool at the same time.
Do. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have to apologize. That was me because I'm in a Facebook discussion while you guys are on the air. And I was trying to copy and paste the link before the video played of Martellus.
Multitasking.
Yes, Martellus Bennett's Captain Crunch rap. I Google it. It's good times. But back to the show.
Well, I do like a nice Mario jingle.
Anyway, where was that? Yes, Finn is in no hurry because honestly, I'm in no hurry for him to go either because I think it would be another Neville.
Yeah, like they've
case.
like, yeah, they've treated Neville like kind of like a chump at this point. Like, what the hell chance does Finn Balor have?
Exactly.
And again,
Finn's not 6 foot tall. Finn's not, his body is incredible, but he's not, 250 pounds or something.
yeah, he's 5'9", 190 pounds, which is a good weight and height for an athlete. But in terms of wrestling, especially in WWE, you tend to get overlooked. And I don't know. I want to believe that Vince McMahon has enough foresight to see what kind of moneymaker Finn Balor can be. But at the same time, I'm not entirely confident.
This is also the same 70-year-old man that had to insert himself into a storyline just because.
He was the only one who could get Roman Reigns over, apparently.
Apparently, like, oh no, we're not going to book him better. We're not going to make this crappy storyline any better. I'm just going to go out there and instantly get heat because everybody hates me.
Yeah, but to be fair, Vince McMahon, as the heel boss, is still the greatest villain in all of wrestling.
I know, but still.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think the takeaway from this is that NXT is really taking off like its own promotion because
Yeah.
NXT Dallas went on sale for the show during WrestleMania weekend, and it sold out in 15 minutes.
Yeah, like when you look at the best pay-per-views of 2015, I'd like to think that most of, if not all of the NXT TakeOver shows would rank highly because they're always well-produced, the matches are fun, there really isn't a whole lot of filler, which means that the shows move quicker, I feel like.
Exactly. Everything is made to feel important, and they don't bullshit us, basically. They don't try and insult our intelligence.
Exactly. Treat your fans seriously, and they will take your product seriously. And that's the relationship NXT and its crowd has.
Definitely. And they have a very sound producer in that terms with Adam Pearce being back there. And I think Adam has done a wonderful job with working with the product. And I think the whole team they have down there, Katz writing, and Ryan Katz, he was on the SoCal circuit, now does a lot of the writing for NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also the guy that comes out for the Vaudevillains old entrance where they had like the circus master come out with the old bullhorn. That was Katz.
How's that for a bit of trivia?
So I think they have a lot of good potential.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have to see where else that takes them in 2016. I think the sky is the limit. So on that note, I think we'll go ahead and head to a break right now. But we'll come back in just a couple of minutes. You're listening to the Hold 1005 podcast on Late Night Sports Radio.
the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
Out of all the reindeers, you know you're the mastermind. Run, Rudolph. Randolph ain't too far behind.
Ho, 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 run, Rudolph, run.
Rudolph, Santa's gotta make it to town.
So we'll go ahead, we're back, and sorry, I get caught up in the Christmas Carol.
As we all do.
Yeah, but we'll go ahead and talk about, like, because there's so many moments and things from the year that we could talk about. But why don't we go ahead and pick a pay-per-view of the year that kind of sticks out as just the overall best. Don't think too deeply, kind of like the Freudian analysis where they say one word and you have to say the first one that comes to your mind.
What's yours? What's your pay-per-view of the year?
It has to be Wrestle Kingdom 9.
I can't argue with that. That show rocked my fucking balls off, for lack of a better term. And like this was my formal introduction to New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I didn't know what to expect going into it. All I knew was that people were hyping it up as one of the best shows of the year, and it was January. Keep that in mind. People were hyping it up, so I was like, okay, I gotta tune in. I gotta watch the show. I gotta figure out what the hell people are talking about. So I sat down, watched the show for the 4 hours it lasted, and it blew my mind. It impressed me as a fan.
It won you over is what it did.
It did. It made me a fan. I was very, very impressed. And here we are now, and I'm a New Japan World subscriber. I watch the events. I have a good time.
Exactly. It's lots of fun. Wrestle Kingdom 10 is obviously going to be amazing, and I'm more excited right now about what kind of crazy get-up Nakamura is going to come out with.
Yeah, especially now with the announcement of those never open-weight six-man tag titles.
That's going to be cool. That's going to be a cool concept.
It's going to be kind of neat. But yeah, Wrestle Kingdom 9. Hard to beat.
Definitely hard to beat. I mean, it set the bar really high back in, it was like, what, January 4th or something?
Yeah, I believe it was the 4th.
And it's like, damn.
I mean, how...
Like
Yeah, I mean, I love that show so much that I went on Rudo Reels and I bought the Blu-ray for it. And I don't buy DVDs for pay-per-views often, if at all. So
No, definitely not in this age where we just have the network and King Japan World that we can find basically whatever you want to watch.
yeah, but I got the Blu-ray because I wanted to show my support, and it's a good investment. I felt it was a great show.
Definitely. By the way, we love Rudo Reels because you can get DVDs for like mega cheap.
It's not a bad deal.
No, because I got the entire Best of the Super Juniors the year that Ricochet won.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like 22 DVDs. And I got it for like under $20.
And considering the wealth of talent during that tournament, that's a great price.
So let's see. Who would you say would be the breakout performer? Like who's been consistently at the top of their game?
As far as
men, and then we'll do the women.
As far as breakout performers in the men's division, I would have to say Kevin Owens. I mean, the guy started off the year as NXT champion, was very dominant in that role, was quickly moved up to the main roster. He immediately feuded with John Cena, beat him in Owens' first match on the main roster, had another killer match with Finn Balor in Japan, and won the Intercontinental title. And I feel as though he's been very consistent as a performer. Aside from the New Day, Owens might be one of the few reasons to watch Raw on a routine basis.
I'd have to agree with you there, but I think I'm going to have to go with. It's hard for me to pick just one thing, one person.
Well, if you could narrow it down.
think I'm gonna have to go with Okada because he's not only one of my favorites, but he's had a killer year in terms of competition. He is now a 3-time IWGP Heavyweight Champion.
And he's not even 30 yet.
He's not even 30 yet.
It's pretty crazy to think about. But that kid's going to go places. That kid's going to carry the company on his shoulders for years to come.
Exactly. He is going to be what Tanahashi is now, which is just like basically a god.
Yeah, the ace of New Japan.
Yes, definitely. The Hulk Hogan, if it were, just far more talented. Let's see.
Now-
What about for the women? Who would you say would be the breakout star?
The breakout star for the women, I would have to say Sasha Banks. I mean, she's been a great performer in 2014, but I feel like in 2015, she showed just how capable she is in any situation, whether it's having one of the best matches in Brooklyn or main eventing a pay-per-view and an Iron Man match. First time it's ever happened between two women wrestlers. Sasha Banks, she exudes confidence. She's very certain of herself. She can wrestle a match of high caliber. To me, she checks off every box of what I would expect a woman wrestler to have. I think Asuka would be a close second. Only reason why I don't rank Asuka higher is because I think Sasha's had more of those breakout moments compared to our favorite Japanese striker.
Yes, and Sasha's, as well as Naomi and Tamina, have had to kind of deal with the scraps, if it were, on the main roster, and still have managed to turn out some really good moments on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of take the coal and turn it into a diamond.
It's not easy to do, especially with the scraps that you get on Raw, I feel.
Exactly. I would have to go with Sasha, and then my second would be Candice LeRae. Candice has really just been in more places now that she's moved out of California. She's been working with Shimmer. She's been in Germany. She's been all over, and everybody knows who Candice LeRae is. And then I'd have to go with Kimberly, because Kimber has had a really great year just on her own, because she's a tremendous competitor, but she also is now the Chikara Grand Champion, which is the first time a woman has been the champion of a promotion. Like, Chikara has the tag champion, and they have the grand champion, and Kimber is the grand champion.
Congrats to her. I think she's going to move Chikara in a very positive direction.
I have to agree, and everybody loves Princess Kimberly. So let's see, what should be, why don't we go with a stable or a faction of the year? Even though I think I know who you're going to say.
New Day rocks. I mean, they rock. They've improved leaps and bounds. When I saw them at the Rumble in January, I was one of the people who was booing them out of the building. I didn't like them. I thought they were a waste. Then they turned me around. They started to shed the I guess the slightly racist layers and became their own entity. They've started to have more fun. They added more of these little quirks to their characters, and they've become one of the highlights of Raw on a weekly basis.
Exactly. You want to talk about the poster child for taking the table scraps and turning it into the most perfect thing on Raw ever.
Yeah, three of these guys who had no direction whatsoever. I mean, especially Kofi, he's been doing the smiley, happy, babyface character for so long that you forget that he's a very talented guy beneath that one dimension.
Exactly, and he's funny as a heel. He gets to use his humor in a different direction, and they get to play off each other, and they're having fun. They have so much merchandise. It's so awesome.
Especially even a pair of socks.
A pair of socks and unicorn horns.
which I don't want to believe that people buy those things for things other than headbands, so I'll leave it at that. Because you know as well as I do, wrestling fans are a unique bunch
We're crazy people. But it's a fun kind of crazy.
for the most part.
I have to agree with New Day, but the Bullet Club always gets a mention because they're people.
Of course, BizCliz Worldwide, your group.
Exactly. Let's see what else. What about match of the year contenders? I know there's not going to be just one.
Yeah, honestly, even if the storylines haven't been tremendous, I would say that the matches have always been very good. This is no exception. Going back to Wrestle Kingdom 9, I would say that my match of the year, bar none, Kota Ibushi versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. It's in this day and age, it's very difficult for me to sit down and watch a match in full without turning to the computer or doing something else because it's really hard for me to focus. The moment Nakamura came out with his grandiose entrance, his facial expressions, his mannerisms, I just sat there and watched, just intently watching Nakamura, watching his moves, watching his mannerisms, just watching the way he carried himself with such swagger, a unique sense of swagger that you don't see in any wrestler. I found myself, if I wasn't, here's what I have to say. Before that, I was just enjoying Wrestling Kingdom 9 as a show, like I was loving it. It was this match that I became a fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling as a whole. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It was definitely it was just a showcase for Nakamura because it kept that actually. Then you have this um, little shining star in training, if it were, because Ibushi is going to be what Okada is now in like 3 years' time.
I would say so. I know Kota Ibushi is still recovering from an injury. You know, hopefully his recovery is speedy so that in 2016 he kicks things back up again.
Yeah, it was something like a vertebrae issue, something with the neck. Let's see. Obviously, Sasha versus Bailey from NXT Takeover Brooklyn.
Oh, absolutely, that was best women's match of the year.
I would rank the Iron Woman match higher just because that's the first time it's ever been done.
I can see where you're coming from. That definitely was a history making moment, and there was a lot of emotion involved in that particular match. You know, especially Sasha Banks as the biggest heel of the night, just taunting Izzy in particular, taking her headband, just doing all the things that you would expect a villain to do in wrestling. Just good stuff. Good stuff all around.
Very good stuff. Another one that comes to mind from NXT TakeOver Brooklyn was Jushin Thunder Liger versus Tyler Breeze, because obviously that's Liger's WWE debut, and that match was so much fun. Just taking a selfie stick and
Jushin Liger, man,
I hope he saved those pictures.
yeah, those are moments that he's going to remember. And I don't know if we're going to get another Liger appearance in WWE. I hope we do, because if there were anything like this match, I think we're going to be in for something special.
I hope so, because I love Liger. I mean, I got to meet him this year, and it was just it. Oh, God, it's an incredible experience. Let's see what else.
How about the Royal Rumble? And I know the show itself wasn't too exciting. I was there, but the WWE World Heavyweight Title match between Seth Rollins, John Cena, and then champion Brock Lesnar, that was electrifying. That was easily, like, if I didn't watch Wrestle Kingdom 9, this probably would have been my match of the year. I think, because you had three top level contenders. I felt like Seth Rollins proved he could hang with the top names. Brock Lesnar was super over in Philly, just super, super over. People love this guy. You know, you could say what you will about him being a part timer and him not being committed to WWE, but when he comes to play, he comes to play. And this match made me appreciate the travel I took to Philly that much more.
That and the adventure to get the beer.
Oh, that was. Oh, I could go on and on about that particular trip. It was a good time. Good time.
I would
Best
have
birthday.
to say another one was another one would be Okada versus AJ Styles for the IWGP World Championship.
Yeah, I feel like those two are almost like
Just 'cause
Okada and Tanahashi, and
extremely high caliber athletes going for the biggest prize.
yeah, those two cannot have a bad match. I feel those two are, it's almost like Okada and Tanahashi. It's like peanut butter and chocolate. The flavors are great by
Always
themselves,
go together.
but together they're amazing.
They are. Let's see. What promotions do you think had the best year? Who's really just been buzzing? Who's really turning out great content?
If it counts, and I
we can
hope.
count NXT sort of as its own brand.
Okay, well, if it counts, and I hope that it does, I'm gonna have to give the nod to Lucha Underground. It's very difficult in
Yes.
this day and age to have a wrestling promotion that's considered an alternative, because people consider TNA an alternative, ROH they see that as an alternative. Lucha Underground fits that term better than them because it's filmed differently, it's showcased differently, the matches play out more uniquely, and it makes for a much more entertaining show. And you're as excited as I am that we're going to get a season 2 as well as a season 3. It's going to be a really exciting 2016, I feel.
It is, and they're currently working on getting season 1 on some sort of streaming service, whether it be Hulu, whether it be Netflix. That's
Just
going to be
get
super cool because I hate trying to surf through Daily Motion to try and find an episode to watch.
and unlike other wrestling shows, you can easily binge Lucha Underground because it gives you that perfect mix of story and action through the ring.
Definitely. I would have to also say Chikara because Chikara has been turning out really good quality shows. They've gotten a lot of people talking, and they've brought in a lot of big names. I mean, they brought in the Bullet Club, and they brought in a team from AAA, as well as 2 teams from the UK for King of Trios. But they've also brought back a number of beloved characters. Cobalt was resurrected by Ultramantis Black because Cobalt was killed last season.
It's like a comic book.
It is, and the ongoing time traveler saga of Archibald Peck, when he disappears and keeps reappearing out of order. He reappeared at Top Banana, which was their last show for the year. So that's pretty cool. And let's see, who else PWG obviously is always buzzing, always big. I mean, Sofia Vergara's picture is pretty much viral at this point. It's a picture of Sophia. She's standing by the ring. Wrestlers are laying in the ring because it's after the main event. And the caption was, "I think they are dead."
I think the fact that Sophia is a wrestling fan just makes me appreciate her that much more.
I know. Thanks, Joe Manganiello, for making her one of us.
Yeah, not only is she the hot mom on Modern Family, she's also a wrestling enthusiast.
Which is super cool. Let's see, what else? I mean, Beyond Wrestling's had a great year. They've been selling out VT Hall, even though that's going to be closing. They've been having all these secret shows, which you have to get on the email list to get there. And it's super cool. I can't wait to see where they go coming in 2016. And I've also been interested in the the UK promotions more since I met the teams that came over for Chikara, like Fight
Mm-hmm.
Club Pro and a whole bunch of other ones that I really want to get into.
There's not a shortage of wrestling out there, to say the least.
No, there is not a shortage of wrestling, and the best part is you don't even have to look that far.
No,
You don't have to dig very far.
yeah, it's good that most promotions make it easy enough to find their content.
It is. Let's see, what were your favorite moments? Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be a match, it could be an entrance, a promo. What do you classify as your favorite moments from this year?
My favorite moments. I'd have to say one of my favorite moments, and this might be cliche, would have to be Seth Rollins cashing in Money in the Bank at WrestleMania, the first time anyone has ever done that in history, and did it successfully. This surprised me because I was, even though there was sort of this smidgen of doubt that I had, I was still convinced that Roman Reigns was going to come away as the World Heavyweight Champion that night. But then you have Rollins sprinting down to the ring, cashing in, and stealing a victory. And that, to me, kicked off a tremendous year for Seth Rollins. Maybe not so much on the storyline side of things because his booking has been kind of iffy. But in terms of wrestling, the dude's on another level, without question.
Exactly. He's a legit heavyweight contender. He's a legit top tier performer. And I just need to not book him as a whiny little bitch.
Not too bad for the guy who people thought wouldn't progress well after the Shield.
Right. Let's see. One of my favorites was a promo that Kevin Owens did when The Undertaker appeared on Raw, and the backstage interviewer is trying to talk to him, and then the gong starts going. He's like, dude, it's The Undertaker. I'm not talking to you.
Yeah, I think, like, he was like, hey, Rich, give the microphone to Renee. Like, I want to talk to her.
I want to talk to her, and then it's like, no, the fucking Undertaker's coming out. I'm going to go watch it.
Like, I love the little backstage interviews Kevin Owens does because he's just in random places, whether it's, laying on a crate or up on like another structure or something. Just really random promos, but they're entertaining to watch. And I think Owens makes the most of those WWE.com exclusives.
Definitely. I think another of my favorite moments was when Stephanie brought up Charlotte and Becky from NXT at the same time, because that was such a cool moment. We'd been waiting for so long to have some good Divas moments. And
Yeah.
we've had some really great Divas matches since they've been brought up from NXT.
Yeah, I just wish the moment had a better follow through because it does feel like even though we have good call ups, it doesn't seem like the strategies have really meshed well. I think that the Divas division could benefit from some better booking, but maybe in 2016 we'll get that. I don't know.
Hopefully. It was awesome to see that they're at least trying now.
Hmm.
Let's see, what else? Oh, when Naito came out with the mask and took on AJ Styles, and AJ's like, I'm not going to wrestle a dude in a mask. Take it off. And he takes off the mask, and AJ goes, you look better with the mask on. Put it back on.
Who says AJ Styles doesn't know how to talk?
Exactly. He's funny when you let him be. I mean,
He's very good. He's a very,
although
very
I
good.
do kind of wish he would cut the emo boy hair, but
Yeah,
maybe it's a
seriously.
midlife crisis thing. I don't know.
Yeah, he's like what, late 30s at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah, poor guy. So he's still having some of the best matches of his career, so good on him.
Oh, yeah. This guy's easily going to be wrestling into his 40s. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Because
wow.
he has adjusted his style as he's gotten older. So it's not so much of the flying, but he still, like, he teases it, he puts it in there, he uses it sometimes, but he's toned it back where he's safer.
So what about the best performers? Not just so much breakout star, but just the person you think had the best year, in terms of wrestling success, etc.
Mm, I have to say Finn Balor because he's consistently top caliber performance. He's got the theatrics. I mean, he hasn't talked much yet, but he's obviously good at it.
Oh yeah.
And he's just I haven't seen him on an off night yet.
No, he's top tier. And speaking of top tier contenders, my favorite wrestler of 2015 and my favorite wrestler going right now, you probably know who he is. He's my man crush, the king of strong style himself, Shinsuke Nakamura. Easily, like, this guy blew my mind when I saw him at Wrestle Kingdom 9, as I stated earlier. And the fact that I got to actually meet this guy at Field of Honor this past August, I got his autograph, took a picture with him. He gives off an aura. You wouldn't think that someone could do that, but he gives off an aura, and it left me a bit starstruck, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
And he's had great matches with pretty much everybody,
Pretty much everybody. Yeah.
Not just Ibushi, but Yuji Nagata, Kazuchika Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi during the G1 Climax. Just great stuff he's been pumping out. I'm also looking forward to Nakamura versus Styles at Wrestle Kingdom 10. It's going to be sick.
It's going to be awesome, and it's going to just be crazy to see what he comes up with because his craziness is going to really give AJ the chance to be like, what are you doing?
It is, and it's the first time these two have ever faced off in singles competition, so there's that novelty that comes with it.
Definitely. So who do you think is going to who's going to be the banner star for 2016? Who's going to be the guy we're talking about next year at this time?
That's a good question. I think that if you want to talk about the banner stars in 2016, I would like to think it would be Dean Ambrose, because he's sort of building up a bit of support. He's had a fan base for a long time, and it's not just one demographic. Women love him, men love him, kids love him. I think that I would love to see him win the Royal Rumble, even though I think I've been hearing reports that it's going to be Brock Lesnar doing it, so that he and Reigns can have their rematch. I don't want to see that. I would much rather see someone else get that opportunity. And who better than Dean Ambrose, the guy who's been killing it during 2015 as the mid to upper mid card talent.
Exactly. I hope it'll be the year of Dean Ambrose. I think it will also be the year of Seth Rollins when he comes back from his injury.
Yeah,
and I think that if they bring Sami Zayn up and they let him do a program with Kevin over the Intercontinental title, that's going to be like all we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and speaking of Rollins, is there really any choice for him to come back other than a babyface? Because, he left on kind of sympathetic terms with the injury. He's going to come back. He's going to get a big pop. You really can't make a heel out of him. I mean, you could later on if you wanted to, but at least in the short term, there's going to be that babyface rush.
Exactly. So if they're smart, they're going to bring him back on an episode where they're close to like his hometown or a town that's really big for him, because that's just going to make it all the better.
It's going to be an interesting 2016, I feel.
It is. And in 2016, we'll see the return of Hideo Itami, which will be great. Sami Zayn will be back full time because he's just coming back off of the NXT European tour.
Yes, let's hope for better years for those guys, because that's a lot of talent that should not be cast aside.
Exactly. So we'll call it a night for now, but we'll see you next week on the final episode of the Hold'em 1005 for 2015.